Hey, welcome back. I'm Chris Chase, Project Director for the Western Flyer Foundation, and I sure hope you caught the last video, lifting the house up off the deck. At the very end of the video, there's a great time lapse showing the entire process. But now the project's really kicking into high gear. We've got 6 shipwrights working on the project daily. Pete Rust working on the house, Brad Siemens and Tim Lee working on stern lifts, Greg Friedrichs and Pete Stein building out a new 64-foot outer keel, and Paul Stauffer finishing up the deck beams on the main deck and building temporary molds in the fish hold for the reframing. There's so much going on, I thought just a video tour of the project this week would be good. So follow me around while I show you what's new. Thanks again. Now that the house is safely on the ground, Pete can start the tedious process of dismantling, cataloging, and rebuilding the house.
Hey, look at that, a tie rod right there in front of God and everybody.
Pete will own this part of the project for the next 8 months. There are so many details to keep track of. One shipwright needs to be on it, start to finish. The outer keel of the Western Flyer was damaged in 1971 in an unfortunate sinking somewhere outside of Ketchikan, Alaska. Flyer is built up of this outer keel and an inner keelson, and it's this long scarf that we're really concerned about here. So we've decided to go ahead and replace the entire keel. We're so far into the project, this is really the time to do it. So this timber here, from the back rabbet all the way to the bottom, will be cut out of the boat and replaced with that full-length new 64-foot keel that Greg and Pete have been building the last couple of weeks. The first thing we needed for the new keel would be long lengths of dry wood. Sepos and African mahoganies that fit the bill perfectly. The 27-foot boards would need to be planed and milled and cut to length. On the end of each adjoining board, a feather scarf would need to be cut. The original keel in the Western Flyer was a 64-foot, full-length Douglas fir timber, kind of hard to find in the 21st century. So we opted to replace it with a laminated mahogany keel. We're going to have 6 layers, 2 inches each, adding up to a 12 by 12 timber, glued together with West System epoxy. But before any wood could be glued together, a layout table would need to be constructed, 64 feet long and dead flat. Each board was glued together using thickened epoxy, and we decided to leave mechanical fasteners in permanently, number 20 bronze screws. To prevent any distortion in the reframing process, 6 temporary mold stations were built in the fish hold. The temporary molds are fastened to each riband and build stringer, and they will remain in place during the entire reframing process. Tim and Brad have tackled the job of rebuilding the stern, carefully patterning or recording any information as they systematically dismantle the stern one timber at a time.
The boat's spread back here. It's like 1.25 inches there. Who knows?
Since you took the deck off back here?
When we put the clamp in,
That was tight.
the clamp was tight up against that.
Interesting.
I think this is like that. I don't need to have 2 lines.
Many of the timbers came off in full pieces, but unfortunately the decay and rot for 80 years of hard work will not allow them to be reused in the new stern. The rebuilding of a horseshoe stern is such a fascinating process. The patterning, the lofting, the cutting of the timbers. I promise to do an entire episode in the future just on it alone.
And not much holding that on.
No.
Nice. What's that?
That's an eighth of an inch of rusted. What they call a boat sinker.
Yeah, that's a smoking.
It's impressive.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. There's so much going on lately with the project that you don't want to miss anything, so make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.
Well done, Brad. That'll look good on film.